The following is a Spirit Street production.
You know, the Big 12 prides itself on having a home field advantage when it comes to these football stadiums. Today, we're going to take a look at who has the biggest home field advantage. Now, just keep in mind, it's not going to be, who has the biggest stadium, because that doesn't always mean you have the best advantage. So we're going to take a deep dive into this today and see what school, in our opinion, has the best home advantage when it comes to football. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show, presented by Synergy Financial Partners. Now let's go to booming North Texas, home of Studio 73. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Big 12 Insiders. Again, this is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, along with Tim Fitzgerald. Fitz, how are you doing today, my guy?
I'm good. The dogs are in here with me, so it could get colorful, but we're going for it, man. We're going to do it. And I use yellow lighting a little bit back there, and it looks white, so I'm just
it's all good, my man. So today, man, we got a good show for everybody put together. Look, we are talking about home field advantages, and I kind of tapped into that a little bit in the opening. Look, it's not going to be always who has the biggest stadium. That doesn't make your stadium the biggest home field advantage. I want to make that clear to everybody up front. Just because you have the big, now that doesn't mean that it can't be, but it doesn't mean that it has to be. It also doesn't mean that if your stadium happens to be the smallest, it doesn't mean that your stadium can't be one of the better atmospheres either. So just keep all that in mind when we're going through this, because I think a lot of it is game day atmosphere type stuff.
Yeah, we may not agree on some of these, and I'll be honest, it's kind of hard for us to fully gauge the Pac-12 schools, or even a couple of the schools that came in last year, because I've never been to those stadiums yet, and we'll just see how we do here. I think we got a pretty balanced list, though.
Yeah, we do. We do. I think we got a good list here. We're going to go from 16 to 1. We're going to bring these up one at a time. So at number 16, we have got TD-ECU Stadium, Fitz, the home of the Houston Cougars. So 40,000. Look, I've been to this stadium. It is a good atmosphere. There's no question about it. My problem with this, Fitz, is it's almost like if they're good or they're not good, you might get the stadium half full. That's my problem with the Houston Stadium. I don't know that they actually have all of the big time game day atmosphere like some of these other schools have.
Yeah. Here's the problem is they just haven't had consistent fan support.
Right.
Which means you don't have a consistent atmosphere. Also, I should point out that some of these stadiums, it was hard to find. I've tried to find actual photos with crowds. And some, I had to go back 4 or 5 years to find a good photo that would work. But this photo for Houston was from the Texas game last year, which was sold out. So that was a great crowd. But I think it's going to change. They won't be at the bottom very long. I think Willie Fritz is going to get a lot of people interested in Houston football real quick.
Yeah, I think so too. I think definitely that they're going to I've said it on several occasions that Willie Fritz is going to get them back going. I think Houston is just a hidden gem. You just need the right coach in there that wants to invest the proper type of attitude and time to get the program turned around. There's too much recruiting going on in that, number one, in Houston and Texas. It's just too much for Houston not to be good, especially now that it's in a big time conference. I think they'll bounce back.
I agree.
Let's look at the next one. Number 15 on the list, Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati. This is one of those where it's tiny, Fitz. I mean, and there's really not a ton of room to expand. I've been to this stadium. I've seen it. I actually took a recruiting trip there back when I was in junior college. And it looks a little bit different, but it's definitely not any bigger. And that was back in 1997. So it's a little stadium. And again, it's one of those atmosphere. I'm not saying the fans aren't passionate, Fitz, but it's just not a huge, to me, again, in my opinion, I don't think it's a big time game day atmosphere.
I agree. it's interesting that the first two or the last two were listed here are more metro settings. We had Houston with the skyline in the background,
Right.
and now Nippert, and it's kind of wedged in on the campus between buildings, and uh,
Yep.
they don't really have room to expand.
No.
I would imagine the year that they made the playoff, that place was rocking. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm going to be blunt here. This comes back for me to Scott Satterfield. I think he's kind of lost all that momentum for the program at the wrong time, and I just don't think it's going to be quite the rocking place. Now, it might be great by Cincinnati standards, but we're rating these against all the Big 12 institutions, and there are some rowdy houses on this list.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, when they were really, really good, when Luke Fickell had it going,
Yep.
yeah, I bet you that place was rocking. But we'll see about Scott Satterfield. I'm just not sold on him as the head coach. I hope he proves me wrong. I
I agree.
really hope that happens. I'm just not sure that it will. Next up on the list here, Mountain America Stadium, Arizona State. This
Sun
one
Devil
to
Stadium.
me it's a little surprising being on the list this low, but I agree with it. The reason being, they're just not the fan interest. Again,
Right.
I think you've got some fans that go to the games, but the fan interest just isn't there like it should be. Again, this is a stadium that I actually played in the Fiesta Bowl, and looking at it, I mean, it looked a lot bigger at the time than what it is right now. I'm just not sure that this is one of the best game day atmospheres right now. It can get into that, but not right now.
Right. Just the state of their programs probably put them down the list a little bit. But I got to say, this is going to be one of the places fans will flock to in the new Big 12
Right.
because of the setting, the campus, all things about it, and also ticket availability. This has probably got the most growth potential. If Arizona State gets going, that stadium could rise up the list pretty fast because it could be a really fun home field advantage. But from the outsiders that we are right now, and as you said, you played there, I covered that game there. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be up towards the top of the Big 12. It got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they do. They do. And again, all of that and everything that we're saying, just to keep this in mind, people, this is for now. This
Right.
is this year, and so things are obviously fluid and can change. But from what we see now, this is where we are on this list. So let's take another look at where are we at? Number 13 on the list.
Yep.
Baylor, McLean Stadium.
Yep.
One of the newer stadiums in the country, much less the Big 12. I like the atmosphere again. When they were good, it was packed.
Oh yeah.
But when they weren't, like last year, there was a lot to be desired with this stadium. Fitz, just a lot to be desired with the game day atmosphere.
If you told me to list my favorite stadiums to cover a game in, I'd probably go this towards the top. It's a great stadium for work purposes. It's a great stadium for viewing purposes. And by the way, newcomers to the Big 12, the stadium is not named for the heroic cop in that documentary Die Hard. It's not the same guy. It's not even the same spelling, so don't get that confused. I'm sure that this McLean's a great guy. But it has dropped off, and kind of like TCU, where they fit kind of follows the fans, and I guess that's true of most programs. But I do think just simply because of BU's struggles here over the last few years, it's moving down the list, and it'll rise again like their football program.
Yeah. If they get it back going again, I think that game day atmosphere kicks up a notch. Next on the list at number 12, we've got Arizona. For me, Fitz, this is one of those where we don't know a whole lot of,
right.
Especially me specifically. I don't know a whole lot about the game day atmosphere. I asked a lot of questions, did some research on it. I know that it was under some renovation type stuff. So we'll see exactly what the atmosphere is compared. Look, Pac-12 football, nobody's bagging on Pac-12 football or anything like that, Fitz. But I'll say this, and I'll say it with my chest stuck out. The Big 12 game day atmosphere is leaps and bounds over what the Pac-12 game day atmosphere is. Just because, for the most part, a lot of these places are in college towns. So the game day atmosphere is just better. We'll see what Arizona has to offer.
I agree. I mean, we'll see where this goes, but this is the one that I might have put up higher, but was the success last year fleeting? I didn't really watch any home games. I didn't check out the atmosphere. So maybe this one we can claim ignorance on, because
Right.
they're pretty good last year, and I imagine the place got to rocking. But again, we're comparing to other Big 12 places, and I just can't get it up that high right now.
Nope, not yet. Not yet. Last one before we take our first break is we've got Folsom Field in Colorado. Now, I
What
know
an ugly setting. That's hideous.
the first thing that everybody's going to say, and you took it from before I can say, is like, beautiful.
Yeah.
Next thing is it was sold out every game last year.
Yep.
But it wasn't a raucous crowd or anything like that. And there's a huge difference between being sold out and it being difficult to play in and just being sold out because a lot of people show up to the game for the party. That's a totally different deal, Fitz.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. If Deion gets it going and he sticks around, it'll be pretty rowdy. And they're known as pretty hostile fans, which sometimes makes it intimidating. But I think they're going to have to up their game in terms of those facilities a little bit as they move into the Big 12. The expectations are a bit higher.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely could use a little bit of a facelift there, just to maybe modernize it a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you have to expand seating. A lot of people get when you talk about expansion. I don't think it has to be and make it a better game day experience for fans. If you can do that, add bathrooms somewhere, add, better concession stands or more access to hallways, stuff like that. If you can do that, it makes it a better game day experience. Trust me, fans appreciate that. They really do. I know It seems like something small, but they appreciate when things are easier to get in and out of and have more access or easier access to. So we're going to take a quick break here.
Let me point this out. They also have like pest problem. They constantly have this giant rodent that runs on the field before the game. They gave it a name. They named it Ralphie. I think I don't know what it is. I've never seen that creature before. But
as somebody who's been an opposing player on that field, I can tell you this. First of all, growing up as a kid, seeing Ralphie run on the field is incredible.
Awesome.
But when you're standing there watching this huge bison run at you, or technically, I guess it's buffalo because it's a female, run at you, and you're standing there and you're like, I hope this does turn and go into the trailer, because if not, we're going to have a tough time playing this game with about 10 guys on the field because it's just going to run over all of us. That's a little bit intimidating. I will admit that, man. So
it's a great
we're going to
tradition.
take a quick break. We'll be right back after a word from our partners, Synergy Financial Partners.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the vision is to build the world's largest consumer financial education and empowerment company. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's return to Studio 73.
All right, welcome back to Big 12 Insiders, everybody. Again, this is Big B, Brien Hanley, along with Tim Fitzgerald. So Fitz, next up here on the way, we are talking Big 12 football, the best game day atmospheres for the Big 12. So next up on the list here, and this one's a tricky one.
Oh.
You think, it's Arrowhead Stadium. What are we talking about? But look, it's KU. And KU will be playing a number of their games at Arrowhead Stadium this year for the simple fact that they are renovating their current stadium. So we're talking this year, like we mentioned earlier, this is a fluid conversation. So it will change year to year. This is what we think this year. Now, this one, Fitz, me and you disagreed on.
Yeah,
because I believe that this is going to boost KU and the game day experience. And I'll explain real quick. As an 18 to 22-year-old kid, you get to go play your home games at Arrowhead Stadium, where the Kansas City Chiefs play, where Patrick Mahomes plays, where the two-time defending Super Bowl champions are playing their home games. I think that's a boost. Fans are going to love it, number one, because it's, 30 minutes from Lawrence? So it's not like it's an hour and a half from Lawrence. So you're going to get the same people that were going to that game are now going to go to this game. The tailgating is going to be different. Now, are they going to sell out the game?
No.
That's a different conversation,
No.
But as far as a game day experience and even being a raucous crowd, because we know Arrowhead, if you get in there, you get 35,000 people and they're yelling, it gets super loud in there, even with just 35. I think it's a big deal. I think this is a good thing for KU.
No, so here's the problem. We could put them at 16 because we don't know what the atmosphere will be.
Right.
We thought that, and then we could put them up higher because I kind of agree with you. Let's consider the actual fan base for the University of Kansas. A lot of it's in Kansas City. Now, granted, Arrowhead's over in Missouri, so they got a little drive, but I think if I know KU fans, they're going to enjoy the amenities of Arrowhead a lot. I think the suites and those things that they're adding into the new stadium, the rebuild of Memorial Stadium booth, but they just haven't had. So I think those VIP areas will be greatly used. And even if you're, it's got the 3 tiers, and even if that top tier is mostly empty, it could be a pretty fun atmosphere. And with camera angles, you won't even see it. I wonder what the stadium is in terms of seating without the top layer, because I think their efforts will be to fill those next 2, and then extra seats can go up above. But I'm intrigued by this. It could be a really cool venue for them. I think where they play the non-conference games, it's Children's Mercy Park Sporting Field in Kansas City, Kansas. That'll be like 20K, and that could be really cool. That a lot of students that could get rocking. But Arrowhead's massive. We'll see how they do with it. It could be a huge advantage or blah.
Right. As a kid playing, or I shouldn't say a kid, as a student that's out there actually playing, I think the atmosphere has got to be great. If I was a student of KU and I'm going to a football game, I'm going to scream my head off no matter what, but I get to go to Arrowhead and watch my team play. Yeah, that's an even bigger deal. So I think it's going to help KU this season. Not that playing at home wasn't going to help them anyway. I just think it gives them a boost, especially when we believe that KU is going to be really good this year. So.
It's an opportunity to engage fans that maybe haven't been coming to Lawrence,
right?
And get them to Arrowhead and say, "Hey, I like this product," because Lance Leipold's putting a pretty good product out there, and maybe next year that translates with them going back to Lawrence. It's all part of a process that could really help continue to build momentum for KU.
Correct. Next up on the list here. FBC Mortgage Stadium, UCF Knights.
The bounce house. I didn't even know it was named that, to be honest. I got to see it. I mean, I think it should be higher. From everything I've seen on TV, it's a great atmosphere. It's a great fun stadium. It's sold out. What is it, 40K, which is appropriate size in modern day college football for most universities. I can't wait to get to go cover a game there, but for now we parked it at 9, and we could argue it needs to be up higher.
Yeah, it could be higher. Haven't been to this stadium. I've seen several games on television. Looks like a great atmosphere to play football. Looks like, I know it gets loud. So again, that's part of the atmosphere, but we'll see. Like I said, could be higher, could be lower. I don't think it's really lower though. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's lower. I think if anything, this thing moves up the next time we do one of these lists. Yeah, I think this thing could move up. Next on the list here, Jones A&T Stadium, Texas Tech. Yeah. I mean, that is, look, that's a great game day experience.
It's
Again,
great.
I've had I've been able to play there. Let's just say that. It was pretty raucous back then. Now, it was a long time ago. Let's not kid ourselves. That was back in 1997. A lot of things were different then, but it was super loud then, and it has only gotten a lot louder since then. I've been back there. That is a crazy place. If you're a visiting team, that is a crazy place to play football. And they did some renovations. It's supposed to be done. I think it's going to be done by the time the season starts this year. I think this is one of those fits. I think it could get higher once we see what the additions and everything that they've done. I think this can go.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what it looks like now and how it look. Last time I covered a game down there, it wasn't that full and they weren't doing very well. But those are great fans. And once they fully re-engage, I think it's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. I'm really excited to see the renovations. And I'm hoping they have a better visiting media interview space. But it's a cool stadium. Again, a couple of pieces of advice. Understand it's going to be a hostile crowd, and don't eat the tortillas. Please don't eat the tortillas that the students throw. They
Yeah.
sneak them in somehow.
Up on the list here, TCU, Amon G. Carter Stadium.
Yep.
I mean, I've been to this stadium several times. I will tell you what, it's not the biggest out there, but it gets loud and it is extremely nice, Fitz. This place is
beautiful.
Extremely nice. One of the better venues in the country. It is.
Yep. It's beautiful. They did a great job with this. I love covering games there. It's easy to get to, all that. There's nothing wrong with the stadium at all. Again, the fans really ebb and flow with their team, and we see them just kind of disappear when things aren't going so well. And if you're a newcomer to the Big 12, I'm just going to be honest here. These fans aren't hostile. They're sometimes nasty in the student section. I mean, K-State had problems with objects being thrown, and but that's heated up into a pretty good rivalry too, which is fun. But when it gets going again, it's pretty raucous, and it's a great place to visit if you're an out of town fan. It's Fort Worth's a cool town, and it is a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, very, very nice stadium. Like I said, it gets extremely loud. Great game day atmosphere. Like I said, it's not the biggest stadium in the world. What is it, like 43,000 people, 44,000, somewhere in that neighborhood? So it's not the biggest stadium out there. But when it comes to as much noise it can bring, what they do as far as bringing in game day type of atmosphere and the stuff that they do in stadium, it's one of the best in the country. It really, really is. All right, next up on the list. Now, this is another one that I think could actually be higher. First of all, let's just look at the setting. Let's just look at this for a second, Fitz, and just gaze at the mountain. I don't even know how you play football there. If I wasn't from there, I don't even know how you could play football. You have to go and watch that at Lavelle Edwards Stadium for BYU. I would be so distracted at that view. I don't even know what I would do. It's incredible how beautiful the setting of this is. Now, you talk about a place that knows their football. Look, I've seen BYU games, never been to this stadium, but I've seen BYU games where they are not very good. They still show up, people.
Yep.
They go to these football games. This is one of those, they fit in. That's why BYU was such a perfect fit for the Big 12. They will support their team regardless of the situation, and they show out a lot. Great stadium, great game day atmosphere, and it's the biggest stadium in the Big 12.
I'll say this conference gained some beautiful views with new members over the last couple of years, and I love it. I can't wait to go this season out there to cover a game, and I think we might have put this one low, but again, I think we need to experience it, and I've heard it's pretty incredible. But one of the things we looked at is, are you consistently winning your home games? I mean, if you're going to have a great atmosphere, a home field advantage, you got to turn around and win. And I think that cost a few schools spots, and probably did with BYU. If you're not influencing the outcome enough, you probably slip down the list a little bit further than maybe your fans expect.
Correct. Absolutely. Last one before we take our final break here. I don't really
Milan
know
Pushkar.
Yeah, I was like, Milan Pushkar Stadium.
Yep.
I know it's changed a couple of different times, but that's where we're at today, West Virginia. I have been to this stadium. Now, you talk about a great atmosphere. This is a great atmosphere, Fitz. They get after you, too. I love it.
Atmosphere.
I know a lot of people don't like when fans get after you. Nah, I love when fans get after the opposing team. I like it. It's awesome.
I gotta say this. I'm really disappointed. A couple games I've covered out there have been around the Thanksgiving break, so the students are gone, because this is a really amazing home field advantage. It's a hostile pit. It's just got a cool vibe to it. I love their fans. I think their fans are fantastic, and this one might be higher than people expected. It might be lower than West Virginia fans expected. This is a good debatable point here, but when they're winning, and even last year when K-State went out there, it's pretty fun, man. It's a great vibe and great fans.
Yeah, great fans, great tailgate.
Mm.
And again, they get loud. These are knowledgeable football fans. I'm not saying all the other fan bases are not. I'm saying there's some that are more knowledgeable than others.
Yep.
And West Virginia happens to be one of those. They are very knowledgeable football fans. They get into it. They take pride in their football team. And when they're playing well, and last year they were playing well, they get after people. So we're going to take one final break here before the end of the show, before we come up with the rest of the teams here. Again, one word from our sponsor, Synergy Financial Partners, and we will be back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Synergy Financial Partners, the mission is to change the way Americans plan for their financial future. Synergy doesn't just offer you a financial plan. At Synergy, the goal is to help you find your best financial future. Learn more at synergyfinancial.com.
Welcome back to the show. Let's return to Studio 73.
All right, welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Look, we are talking Big 12 atmospheres for college game day, for football stadiums around the conference. We are down to our final four teams. Fitz, let's break right into this. At number 4, we have Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I've been to this stadium, obviously, several different times, played in this stadium. The atmosphere here is electric. It just is. It was one of the things that a lot of people say is like, how do you get that much noise? Because at the time, there wasn't as many people. Now it's up to 50,000, but there wasn't as many people before. It didn't always look like this, but that stadium gets so loud. Again, very knowledgeable football fans when it comes to Kansas State.
Yeah.
And it's on the list, but it's a little lower. And I think you kind of covered the reason why in our last segment, Fitz, on why it's not higher than 4.
You go back a few years ago, they lost to Tulane.
Yep.
I don't think it was the crowd to blame. Maybe the team was flat, but they lost to Tulane at home. And then they closed last season with a painful loss to Iowa State in what was a pretty big game. If you're going to have a home field advantage, you got to take advantage of it. And K-State does have a home field advantage. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. These top 4 are elite. I'll put K-State up against really almost any environment outside of the obnoxiously large stadiums where the crowd might be engaged. Unlike Texas fans, they're not engaged at all. They don't care.
No.
But these fans are engaged, and these fans get after you. The student section is right behind the opposing bench, which is something you don't see very much. The K-State band, where they sit, is right behind the opposing bench, so that's disruptive. It's a great atmosphere. I get to see it a lot, but there's some others on this list that are pretty damn good too, and I'm comfortable with them being ranked ahead of Kansas State as of right now.
Absolutely. So next on the list here, Jack Trice Stadium, Iowa State. Yeah, I 100% agree. The game day atmosphere, the fans, again, very knowledgeable. I keep saying that over and over again, but it's the truth. And you're going to find that for the new members of the Big 12 Conference. You're going to find that the Big 12 Conference football fans, when you go to these stadiums and these arenas, very knowledgeable in whatever sport you're talking about, basketball and football. We're talking football today. You're going to understand, number one, they're rowdy, they're very passionate, and they're very knowledgeable. Plus, I like the story behind why they named Jack Trice the stadium. Now, I'm not going to get into that. People, please do your research. But number one, please look it up. It is cool. Very, very good story on why the stadium is named that. But I like Iowa State's football stadium, Fitz.
And I love their fans. They get after you a little bit, but it's one of those fan bases. They're showing up 60,000 plus, even if they got 3 wins or 8 wins. It doesn't matter.
Right?
They're there for the team. They truly are invested in that. But let me just go back to this. I would say, can you fix that press box? But everything about the stadium is awesome. And then you got come on, guys, come on. But yeah, amazing fans, great environment. Again, Kansas State closes its season at night, probably in Ames. And oh boy, maybe it won't be a night, but you go up there in cold weather, fans from other schools, new schools, good luck.
Right.
Good luck.
Absolutely.
they'll go full Eskimo on you and kick your ass before you know what happened, because they don't seem to be bothered by the elements.
Absolutely not. Love that stadium. Love the atmosphere. Love the energy that comes from that stadium.
Yep.
Now, Fitz, now we've got one here that I don't think that we've got a picture for.
Really? I think we do.
And Utah.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I didn't see it, so that's my mistake.
Rice Eccles Stadium.
Yep.
This one of the new ones that we parked way up high. I mean, because this is why I've been saying Utah is a Big 12 institution and doesn't know it. That is a bunch of fans, again, you knowledgeable, they get after you, they show up, it's an intimidating environment. I'm all in. When I hear some Utah fans pushing back, I'm like, just take the tour of the conference and you're going to find a lot of like fans that are engaged and believe in their team like you do.
Yes, I did a little research on Utah Stadium and their game day atmosphere. Incredible. And again, it's one of those where they have a home field advantage and they use it to the best of their ability. Fitz, look, we can look at last year and they lost a couple of games. But a lot of that, was injury riddled. And so I understand. Full roster, you're not really going to Utah and just walking out of there with the win. Again, extremely knowledgeable fans and hostile. And I know people are going to think, well, Brien, you're talking about, hey, I like hostility. I just do. That's football to me, man. When the fans are hostile, that is football. And Utah fans are hostile. That's why I think they're going to fit into the conference great. I know there's been some back and forth and some pushback and, we're better than this. Just give it a second. I promise you, the fans are like you, just like Fitz said. They're just going to be as hostile as you are to them and they are to you. It's going to be fun. Cannot wait to get an opportunity to head out to this stadium.
I agree.
And number one, Fitz, I think this kind of goes without saying. I like this stadium more than I like the others. Is T. Boone Pickens Stadium.
Yeah.
I think T. Boone Pickens, first of all, look at it. It looks incredible.
Yep.
I think when they redid this stadium years ago, I think they did it spot on. I think it's spectacular. Now, you also talk a place that gets loud, Fitz.
Yeah.
This place gets loud. And you talk about a place that's rowdy, this place gets rowdy. And for one of the reasons, the students, again, sit right behind the opposing bench, and they use those big paddles to pound on the padding that's right. But first of all, there's only about, what would you say, Fitz, 8 yards from the sidelines to the stands. That's all there is. There's not like this huge distance. It might be 8 yards. Might be. It is very close. They are right up on top of you. And again, I'll use this word that I've used a million times already. Hostile. There's the hostile crowd.
Love this environment. Love this stadium. Love the paddles. The paddles are so cool. And the fact that there's no space around the field. For example, if you're on the field as a member of the media or one of those people that gets a field pass, you got to pick your end. You can't walk to the other end of the field. There's no room to do it. The benches are against the wall, which again is pretty interesting if you're the visiting team because you got fans right above you. It's something else. It's packed. It's loud. Incredible fans. Wonderful fans. And it's quite the place. And again, this is another one of my absolute favorite stadiums to cover a football game in because the fans, the atmosphere, and honestly, the press box is elite.
Yeah, it is. It's just one of those places. If you haven't been and your team is going, this is a trip that you should think about making. Going to Stillwater and being a part of T. Boone Pickens Stadium. It is an incredible atmosphere. Doesn't matter what time of year it is, whether it's super hot, whether it's really, really cold, doesn't matter. It's a place that you need to put on your bucket list and go watch a football game. So appreciate everybody taking the time, Fitz. Again, we will be back tomorrow, this summertime hours, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Start throwing those questions in when you see the comments because, again, Thursday is Ask Big B Day. So remember, whatever questions that you have, throw those into the comments. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. We appreciate everybody. We will be back tomorrow. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.